There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes louder than noise, when the voice inside you rises above the voices around you, and if you are honest with yourself, you know this moment has arrived. You feel it, you sense it, you've carried the weight of everyone's expectations, everyone's demands, everyone's chaos, and yet you left one person behind, yourself, in 2026, that must end. This is the year you return to yourself. This is the year you stop trying to fit into spaces that shrink your worth. This is the year you reclaim the time, energy, and courage you handed out too freely, not because you became weak, but because you tried to be everything for everyone. And now, it's time to be everything for yourself. You must understand something powerful. Your life is not meant to be lived on autopilot. Your strength is not meant to be drained in silence. Your dreams are not meant to be buried beneath guilt and obligations. When you put yourself last, the world applauds your sacrifice, but when you put yourself first, the world questions your intention. Let them question. Their confusion does not define your identity. Their doubts do not limit your growth. 2026 is not asking you to become selfish, it's asking you to become awake, to recognize that rebuilding your life is not an act of rebellion. It's an act of responsibility. When your mind is at war with your past, you rebuild. When your heart is tired from carrying what is not yours, you rebuild. When your spirit whispers that something greater is waiting, you rebuild. But rebuilding always begins in the same place, with you. And yes, rebuilding requires discipline. You will need to walk away from people who drain you, habits that weaken you, and routines that trap you. You will need to say no without apologizing. You will need to choose rest when the world demands productivity and choose growth when the world expects conformity. You will need to accept that healing is not always graceful. Sometimes it's messy, uncomfortable, and painfully honest. But that honesty is where the real transformation begins. The truth is, no one else is coming to save you. No one else will rebuild your confidence, restore your peace, or revive your dreams. That work belongs to you, and it begins the moment you stop waiting for approval and start listening to the quiet wisdom inside your own heart. So as this new year unfolds, give yourself permission to start over. Let go of the version of you that settled, that feared, that hesitated. Step into the version of you that demands alignment, clarity, and purpose. Because somewhere inside, you already know who you can become. You're just waiting for the courage to choose it. Now is the time, not next month, not someday, not when everything is perfect. Your life is happening now, your power is here, your future is calling. So rise, rebuild yourself, put your mind, your peace, your growth at the top of your list. You owe the world nothing, but you owe yourself everything. And 2026 is the year you finally choose you. When you look closely at your life, you begin to notice something uncomfortable but liberating. The reason you haven't rebuilt yourself yet is not because you are weak, unlucky, or incapable. It's because your priorities are scattered everywhere except where they truly need to be. You give your energy to people who drain it. You give your time to tasks that don't matter. And you give your heart to situations that keep you stuck in the same emotional cycles. Rebuilding doesn't start with a dramatic moment. It starts with a quiet shift in focus. When you decide that your growth is no longer optional, everything else begins to rearrange itself around that decision. The hook is simple and sharp. Your life will never rise above the things you choose to prioritize. Most people live in reaction, not intention. They wake up responding to messages, solving other people's problems, and fulfilling expectations that were never theirs to carry. And with every day lived in this pattern, they drift further away from themselves. But when you rebuild your priorities, you draw yourself back into alignment. You begin to ask different questions. What actually matters to me? What future am I building? What habits support the life I want? These questions become a compass. They quietly start pulling you forward, even when you don't feel motivated, because priority is stronger than motivation. Motivation rises and falls, priority becomes identity. The moment you place yourself, your mind, your peace, your discipline at the center, you shift the entire structure of your life. You stop giving your energy to arguments that don't deserve a response. You stop saying yes out of guilt. You stop carrying the emotional weight of people who refuse to carry their own. And slowly, your inner world stabilizes. And when the inner world stabilizes, the outer world begins to reflect it. The hook here is that rebuilding is not about changing everything at once. It's about changing the order of what matters. When you elevate your personal growth to the top of the list, the chaos that once controlled you begins to fade. Your priorities decide what survives in your life and what naturally falls away. When you prioritize discipline, distractions lose their power. When you prioritize rest, burnout stops controlling you. When you prioritize purpose, noise becomes irrelevant. And when you prioritize your healing, you stop trying to fix things that were never yours to fix. Rebuilding begins with making space mentally, emotionally, and physically for the person you are becoming. This means letting go of roles that shrink you, habits that weaken you, and environments that silence your potential. It means choosing routines that strengthen your mind, conversations that elevate your thinking, and people who respect your boundaries. Every transformation begins with a moment of realization. You cannot build a new life while living with the priorities of your old identity. The moment you change what you honor, protect, nourish, and focus on, you change the entire direction of your life. For most of your life, you've been conditioned to shrink yourself so others can stay comfortable. You've learned to say yes when your entire soul screamed no, to keep giving even when you were empty, to stay silent just to avoid disappointing someone who never considered how their expectations were suffocating you. And without realizing it, you built a life shaped more by fear than truth, fear of judgment, fear of losing people, fear of being called selfish for choosing yourself. But the moment you stop apologizing for prioritizing your own well-being, everything begins to shift. The hook is powerful. Your future begins on the day you give yourself permission to choose yourself without guilt. Every time you silence your needs, you disconnect from who you are becoming. Every time you worry about who will be upset, you step away from the path that is meant for you. And what's worse is that many people don't realize how deeply this pattern runs. It shows up in small decisions, overcommitting, agreeing to responsibilities you didn't want, letting others drain your time, and it shows up in major life choices, where you end up living a life built from other people's expectations. But rebuilding yourself requires breaking this pattern. It requires the courage to disappoint the wrong people so you can finally become the right person for your own destiny. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. It's the act of reclaiming your time from the unnecessary, your energy from the unworthy, and your future from the unintentional. When you stop apologizing, you become clearer, stronger, and more focused. You start making decisions based on direction, not approval. You stop chasing validation and begin chasing alignment. And the people who truly care about your evolution will not punish you for growing. They will respect your boundaries. The ones who try to guilt trip you were never supporting your growth, they were benefiting from your silence. The hook lies in this truth. The moment you stop apologizing, you become unstoppable. Your transformation demands a different level of responsibility to yourself. You are responsible for protecting your peace, guarding your growth, and choosing the environment that nurtures your potential. You cannot carry everyone with you. You cannot heal everyone. You cannot be everything for everyone without losing yourself in the process. And the moment you internalize that, you begin to redesign your life around your values instead of your fears. You begin to see that the people who matter will walk with you, not against you. The ones who fall away were never meant to grow with you. When you choose yourself, you no longer tolerate chaos disguised as loyalty. You no longer hide your dreams to comfort small minds. You no longer shrink your voice to maintain peace. You step into a new identity, one built from clarity, self-respect, and direction. And in this new identity, something remarkable happens. Every choice you make builds momentum. Every boundary you set strengthens your foundation. Every moment you honor yourself becomes a brick in the life you are constructing. Discipline is the quiet force that rebuilds you from the inside out, long before anyone else notices a change. It is the invisible bridge between the person you are today and the future you keep imagining but never fully reach. Most people underestimate it because it doesn't feel dramatic or glamorous. Discipline is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up in the small decisions, the private hours, the moments when no one is watching, and that is why it is so powerful. The hook is simple. Your life will always move in the direction of your discipline, not your dreams. Dreams inspire you, but discipline transforms you. It is easy to want a better life, but wanting is not enough. Everyone wants growth, confidence, purpose, strength, but only those who practice discipline consistently reach that level. Discipline is the act of choosing your long-term self over your short-term feelings. It's waking up when your mind begs for comfort. It's showing up when excuses feel justified. It's doing what strengthens you even when motivation has disappeared. Motivation fades. Discipline replaces it with structure. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is strategic. When you rebuild yourself through discipline, you stop depending on unpredictable emotions and start relying on intentional habits. Most people think discipline restricts life, but the truth is that discipline creates freedom. It frees you from the cycles that trap you: procrastination, self-doubt, inconsistency, emotional chaos, and unhealthy patterns. Every disciplined decision breaks a chain you've been carrying for years. Every time you follow through, you reclaim control over your own direction. The hook lies in the realization that discipline is not punishment, it is protection. It protects you from becoming the person you regret being. It protects your future from being shaped by your weaker moments. It protects your goals from dying in the hands of distractions. When you commit to discipline, you start changing in ways that others cannot understand at first. You talk less and act more. You crave progress, not comfort. You start choosing environments that challenge you instead of ones that numb you. And eventually, your life reflects the strength of your choices. You realize that every repeated action becomes a part of your identity. A disciplined person does not act disciplined, they are disciplined. It becomes natural, automatic, effortless, the new default. And that's when transformation truly begins. Discipline forces you to confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. The laziness, the distractions, the emotional reactions, the excuses. Discipline exposes them, not to punish you, but to help you outgrow them. It teaches you resilience when things get difficult. It teaches you focus when the world pulls your attention in every direction. It teaches you patience when progress feels invisible. And slowly, as you stay consistent, the gap between your present self and your future self begins to shrink. Every day you show up, you build the bridge. Every disciplined moment strengthens it. And eventually, step by step, you cross into the life that once felt impossible to reach.